Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome. This, I think, is going to be a very fun live stream this year because people had requested that I come back and do another holiday gift guide, but I thought this year we would do things a little bit differently. And so I went on to YouTube, Patreon, and Instagram and asked y'all to tell me who is a person specifically that you're having trouble finding a gift for? And I got a ton of responses. And so I'm going to be giving you suggestions for every single one of them, but I think this is also just generally going to be helpful for people. So we have some kind of like funny requests, a lot of like interesting things, lots of books, some other stuff as well, not just books. And of course, I have slides going over all of it. So we're going to get into that pretty shortly. Welcome if you're here. Feel free to say hi. Hopefully, this will be fun. And I wanted to try to get this into you before everybody starts doing a ton of their holiday shopping because I know this is a big week for it upcoming. That said, I'll briefly show you. I have slides. You asked, I've got answers. We're going to get into all of these. But before I get into that, I do briefly want to mention one other thing because November 28th is apparently Travel Tuesday. And in light of that, I am trying to get this trip to England next year confirmed. I need 7 more people for this trip to happen, and our deadline is January 15th. So if you have any interest, if this is something you were looking at, or if you maybe don't even know that this is something that I'm doing in May, go check it out. There is a link down below, and then there's also details pinned on my Instagram where you can see our full itinerary, all the stuff we're going to be doing, the book club titles. I will, oh God, I'm on the wrong, of course, I'm like on the wrong thing. I will briefly like go down, but we have like archery lessons, London tours, Cotswolds tours. We're reading some fun books. Like it's really cool. We're going to visit the first gay pub in London. I'm really excited. I really want this trip to happen, and so I'm going to be trying to mention it a little bit more frequently. So while you're shopping for other people, treat yourself if it's in the budget for you. There are options available. So there you go. That's your reminder. I'm going to try to be better about saying, hey, this is a thing. Go check it out. Because I realize there are a lot of new people who maybe don't even know that this is a thing I'm doing. So if you want to come hang out with me in England for a literary tour next year, use the link to go check it out. Hey, Night Owl Reader, welcome. You're not late this time. You are on time. Hi, thanks. I'm glad y'all think it's a good idea. Yes, I was trying to do this perfectly before everybody starts their holiday shopping. Hello, hello. So let's go ahead and get into it because y'all had a lot of very specific requests and it was really fun putting these things together. One other thing I'm going to note. Oh, did I remember? Let me make sure. I think I remember to put this in the video description. Let me double check before I get into this. Yes. Okay. So most, not all, but like most of the items that I mentioned, you can find. Of course, people are we're getting a phone call. Let me not do. Okay, so most of the items that I'm going to be mentioning, you can find linked down below. I put them together in a little Amazon shop thing for you if you want to check it out. Some of the stuff is other places from Etsy sellers, indie creators, and so that's a little bit different. But if there are specific things you're looking for that I mentioned, hello, those will be there. Okay, so first up, what do I get my baby sister who has everything? She's into music, fantasy, plants, and art. And I should say, I really enjoy gift giving. Like, I find it very fun and very satisfying to try to find the right gift for the right person or the right book for the right person. And so this was a really fun challenge for me to try to like come up with a bunch of ideas for all of these different prompts. So this is our first one. Baby sister, she has everything. She's into music, fantasy, plants, and art. What could we do? Here are some suggestions of some cool things that you could gift her. One idea is you could get her framed nice art from a favorite book. This I put here as an example because this was actually one of my favorite gifts my husband got me. It was like a fine art print from this guy Phil McDarby who did this gorgeous painting based on The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, which is one of my favorite books. And I just love this. I think it's beautiful. I have it framed in our bedroom. And so that was a really cool thing. So there are artists who do artwork where you can get nice prints, or you can even have art commissioned. So if you know like some of the specific fandoms that your sister or whoever is into, you could like, because I'm sure like lots of artists are like looking for the holiday season to get art done, so you can commission someone to do something, and there are a lot of options for that. I put a few people on here. Kim Carlica is an artist who takes commissions. Also, if you like kind of like cutesy stuff, Michelle from Thor Wants Another Letter, if you DM her, they also do art commissions. In fact, they're going to be doing some like fun merch things for me soon, which is exciting. Creatively Crafts is an Etsy seller who does bookish mugs that are fun, and she does individual designs. She also has stuff based on different fandoms, so that's cool. And then if you want to like spend a little bit more and do something fancier, I'm not saying sure if I'm saying this right, but Bodily Jewelry is very cool. They have really beautiful, fancy, officially licensed jewelry from a bunch of different fandoms. So I'm showing the Middle Earth page here, but they have a lot of other things as well. So that is another thing that maybe, maybe she wouldn't have or wouldn't buy for herself that you could check out. So these are some of my suggestions for that request. Um, it is a nice painting. It's really pretty. I love it. All right. Next. Okay, this is a long one. I've been doing a reading challenge with my 8-year-old nephew since May. He reads pretty well, but he is struggling with comprehension. He tries to read too fast, in my opinion. He loves Diary of a Wimpy Kid, of course they all do, and eats them up, but I would like to get him something more challenging. He wants to enjoy Wings of Fire. My kids love Wings of Fire, but he struggles with it because he has to read it more slowly. He loves fantasy, but struggles with following the world building per my niece. Can you suggest a fantasy title that he can dip his toe into, or a series he can grow into as he becomes a stronger reader? So, I have lots of suggestions. So here are some recommendations. One way to go with this is if he's interested in Wings of Fire, they actually have graphic novels for the Wings of Fire books. And so that could be a cool way that's a little bit more supportive in terms of understanding what's happening because you have the images. And I know sometimes people kind of poo-poo graphic novels, but they actually can be a really great entry point for readers who are just learning or who need a little bit more support. So if that's an interest he has, you might try the graphic novel series. Another really good option that is, I think, really easy to read but still really fun is the Wild Robot series by Peter Brown. I love these. They're a little more simple. They're kind of a futuristic, light sci-fi series about this robot who crashes on this island and like has to figure out how to survive and adopts a baby bird. And it is just like the cutest, sweetest, most wonderful story, but they're at a much easier reading level. And so that might be something that could kind of like move them in the direction of something a little bit fantastical. Um, these are some other fantasy books that I think are also going to be a little easier in terms of the world building because they're either magical, like fantasy that is based in the real world, or has more similarities to the real world that understanding what's going on might be easier if that's part of the problem. So Just a Pinch of Magic by Alicia Dow is adorable. It's a new baking, like a middle grade fantasy novel with baking magic and friends and queer side characters. Really, really enjoyed it. Wild Robot is definitely heartwarming and cozy. Yes, absolutely. It really is. I loved it. Um, and it's part of a series. I think the third book just came out, but I've read the first two and they're great. Love Sugar Magic, A Dash of Trouble by Ana Mariano, and this is the start of a series, is another great one. This follows Latina characters, the youngest sister in a family who wants to do more baking magic but isn't really ready for it and decides to like try things she's not really ready for and gets herself into some trouble. So that is really is cute. Eva Evergreen, Semi-Magical Witch by Julie Abe is the first book in a duology that is adorable. This, if you like Ghibli Studios vibes, this gives that. It follows a girl who is trying to go on her quest to prove herself capable of being a witch, but she just has a little drop of magic, and it's just like really sweet about like found family and friendship and like using what you have to do more. It's a great book. And then lastly, Cameron Battle in the Hidden Kingdoms by Jamar J. Perry is a good one. It does deal with some grief with like loss of parents, but this one is a portal fantasy, and so it has more fantastical elements, but it's kind of cool. You know what this makes me think of? It's sort of um, it feels a little bit like Black Panther if it was magical for kids, and so I think that's another really good one. That one might be a little bit higher level, but I think it's a good option. Yes, Eva Evergreen does have a kind of an anime-ish art style on the cover, and I think that fits. Um, it definitely fits the style as well. It's like a Japanese inspired fantasy world that she's written. All right, then what might make good gifts, especially books for my nieces who are turning 11 and 5? Okay, you got it. All right, for the 5-year-old, the Princess in Black series, amazing. Absolutely love them. They are really funny. They're about this princess who has a secret identity called the Princess in Black, where she battles monsters. They are funny. They're easy to read. They're great for like a 5, 6-year-old. I feel like that's about the age category for them. And I just love these. I highly recommend them. Also, it's a classic, but it's a classic for a reason. The Magic Treehouse series is really good. It still holds up. Both of my kids have read them and really enjoyed them. I think that is a really solid series, and there are so many books. There's even, if you wanted to do something kind of fancier, they even have like full color illustration hardcover version of this book, Dinosaurs Before Dark, and also like a special holiday one. So those could be nice for gifts. And then Desmond Cole Ghost Patrol is also really good. It's like spooky and funny. And it follows these two kids who become friends when one kid moves to a new town and his house is haunted. And each book has these like kind of funny, zombies or ghosts or like different things that they're fighting. They're really great. Yes, this is a good point. There are also graphic novels for the Magic Treehouse series as well. And then for the older kid, I have kind of an array of, of like possibilities, books that I think could be good options. I think The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chainani is a really great series, especially the first 3 books. I have more mixed feelings about the second trilogy, but I really enjoy these as well. They've got friendship. They kind of like ask questions about the way that we think about gender and the way we think about, identifying prettiness with goodness, and I like that. I think it's a good series. The Westing Game is kind of a modern classic. I like this one. I read this when I was in 5th grade actually, and I really enjoyed it. So it's got kind of a mystery element to it. Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger, I think, is also a really fun series. And this is one that is technically middle grade, but it reads a little bit on the older end to me. So I think for kids who are getting close to aging out of middle grade but aren't really ready for YA yet, I think this is a good series because it has a more romantic plot line in it, but also lots of magic and adventure. And I think they're really engaging and interesting. Amari and the Night Brothers, fantastic. I mean, I feel like you've probably heard me talk about it. I love this. This is, kind of contemporary fantasy where there's secretly a magical world that exists, and Amari is drawn into it and is trying to save her brother. Running Out of Time by Margaret Peterson Haddix. This is another one that's a little bit older. I read when I was younger, but it's a good, I would say, thriller type book for this age, and it's kind of interesting. I don't want to get into the details, but that was a good one. And then they just released newly packaged Alana books, which is very exciting. So I put the image of the first adventure. This is what the new covers look like, and I love these. I feel like 11, 12 is the perfect age to start reading Tamora Pierce, and they're just great, empowering books that you can kind of grow up with. So I think those are all great options. Amari is also funny at some parts, I agree. Yeah, and the Haddocks, this is a good one. So hopefully that gives you some ideas of some things for those age groups that might be good. All right. The dad that always already has everything. This is a good question. So I would say that for this, one of the big things is you want to do experiences. Is there one of his favorite bands that's playing a reunion tour nearby you can get tickets to? Is he into beer or liquor? Could you do a tickets to a brewery tour or a distillery tour? Those could be cool. Maybe tickets to an exhibition about one of his hobbies or an escape room you could go to together with a theme that he would be into, tickets to see a movie that he would like that you could go see together. Like something that is more of an experience than a thing, I think can be a really good gift for somebody who tends to have a lot of things already. And this doesn't even have to be super expensive, but I think that those are maybe some ideas or places to start trying to think about what are some local things that are going on or that you could get tickets to that maybe he wouldn't even know are there that would be interesting based on, the kinds of things he's into. Or you could get something he might not want to spend money on himself. Fancy coffee beans if he's into coffee, nostalgic memorabilia related to his youth, or a monthly subscription box like the Grill Masters Club or the Craft Beer Club. There's like these kinds of like men's subscription services that are just kind of fun and not the kind of thing he would already have. So get kind of an array of options. But I think if you have somebody like that, you really want to go with either an experience type present or something that he would be less likely to just spring for on his own. Okay, relatives you don't like. This is great. Mm, to be fair, there may be an array of reasons that you don't like these relatives, but I have a couple of suggestions depending on the reason, and they're all books, and they're great books. But, yeah, let's see, I've done a short 3-month subscription to Fancy Jerky for my dad. Yeah, definitely. Stuff like that I think can be a really great option. Here are a few ideas. Rage Becomes Her: The Power of Women's Anger by Soraya Chemali is a really good one. So, I mean, all of this depends on, like, why is it that you don't like those family members? But, you can say something subtly with a good book that's nonfiction. Hood Feminism: Notes from the Women That a Movement Forgot by Mickey Kendall. Also a fantastic nonfiction book that's really great, thought-provoking take on feminism. Or Mediocre: The Dangerous Legacy of White Male America by Ijeoma Oluo. All some good suggestions depending on your situation. Or, hopefully maybe this can be a jumping off point. You could think of some other good nonfiction titles you could gift to people as well, if that's what you want to do. That's what came to mind. A 13-year-old son that doesn't like fantasy. Oh, who doesn't like fantasy? That's okay. But loved Wimpy Kid. Okay. I have some ideas. Uh, there's a reason some of these are bestsellers. The Adventures of Captain Underpants by Dave Pilkey. They're a little young, maybe, but I feel like 13-year-olds still are into these, and there's a reason that they're big bestsellers. It's not my sense of humor, but my kids think they're hilarious, and they love these. So, um, New Kid by Jerry Craft is a really great graphic novel about a kid who is going to a new middle school that is predominantly white and encountering challenges there. There is also a second book in this series. I haven't read that one yet, but I've read the first one and it's really good. So I feel like this is would be age appropriate for a 13-year-old and is, pretty easy to access. The Last Day of Summer by Lamar Giles is really funny, and it does have some speculative, fantastical elements to it, but it's not as much heavily fantasy. It's just like, but it is really funny. It follows these two cousins who like accidentally freeze time on the last day of summer before school starts again, and then monsters start invading their town, and they have to try to work together to save their town. And it's very hilarious. I read this one to my kids and would recommend it. And I think there's more books in the series too. Holes by Louis Sachar, which there's also a film version of this, but I think this is another one that might work for a kid like that. It's more realistic fiction, but it's, it's been a classic for a long time and something a lot of people like. And then I don't know for sure, but I feel like a lot of Minecraft is a big interest for kids this age, and they did just release a newly updated Minecraft guide collection this year. So you could get him a boxed set, and he might be very excited about that. So those are some suggestions for that. I bought Me and My White Supremacy for my former roommate because I disliked her. Oh no. Uh, perfect. Okay, the Five Nights at Freddy's books are a good fit for this age group as well. The mileage varies on whether you want your kid to engage with that yet. Fair enough. Okay, cool. Love holes in the sequel, Small Steps. Okay, awesome. So yeah, those are some suggestions for that age category. A bookish mom. I have plenty of suggestions for this. Okay, so one thing that I've seen people do that I think is really cool is there's these little miniature like libraries that you can put together. It's kind of a fun little craft thing. Plus, it's like I don't know, like they feel cute and fancy. You can put them on the book on a bookshelf. I feel like this is kind of a fun thing. You could listen to an audiobook while you're doing it. This might be a fun gift for a mom who's into books. Like bookish merch. So we have like a bookish tote bag because I feel like you're always using tote bags to like bring snacks places for your kids or whatever it is. A coffee mug. Yes, I really do need all of these books. Like this is also, I feel like really appropriate. Or this I have no shelf control t-shirt. All of these are really cute. And again, like I said, all of this stuff, almost most of what you're seeing here is you can find it in the link down below. I've done all of that for you if you're looking for it. A gift card to Barnes and Noble so she can go buy whatever she wants there. Or I love these. Loungefly makes these adorable little mini backpacks that are great for like taking around town, and they have book themed ones that are super cute. So if you want to spend a little bit more, or a good pair of headphones. I use Beats headphones and I love them. They're amazing because then you can listen to audiobooks while you're like at the park with the kids or doing the laundry or like cooking dinner or whatever it is. And so if you're bookish and you're into audiobooks, that can be a really great option as well. So hopefully those are some good ideas. About to buy the miniature library puzzle for yourself. Yay! Awesome. Yeah. And I guess I'll just say too, like I said, there is a link below where you can find it. And if you do decide to buy anything and want to use the link, I would do appreciate it. I do earn a small commission, and so it's helpful just to kind of offset, you know, putting braces on my child right now is I guess really what I'm trying to pay for. It's just like horrendously expensive. Okay. My dad who loved D&D. This was fun to look into. I found some fun stuff. All right. So you could get him the like 4K Ultra HD version of the recent film, which, not everybody loved. I liked it. I thought it was really fun and campy. And so I feel like that could be a good option. Apparently, though, there is also a prequel graphic novel called Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, The Feast of the Moon. So you could get him the prequel graphic novel to go with the movie. That could be an option. There's also these like fancy D&D themed campaign notebook sets that are fun. I don't know if he still plays it, but like for other people watching who have a D&D person in your life, this could be fun. Um, Down at the bottom, this I thought was really cute. It's a little keychain with this container that has a set of miniature dice. So you can like literally carry dice around with you on your keychain. I thought that was really cute. They have like a variety of different options of what they can look like, but I thought that was really fun. And then if you want to spend a little bit more money, they have this really cool Lego set that is for a medieval blacksmith. Like I think kind of thing is cool. And I also feel like this is similar to putting together a puzzle, except it's in 3D. And some of these like fancy Lego sets that are a little more pricey are fun for adults to do. So something like this for a dad who had been into D&D, I feel like this could be a really cool gift. It is a couple $100 though, so, like, Lego sets like this are not cheap, but it's fun and a lot of stuff's on sale for Black Friday. Jesse on YouTube has some T-shirts with fun text on this. One says, "Let me read in peace or you will rest in pieces." That's funny. No, it's not pepper spray. It's a little metal canister that unscrews and the dice fit into it, so you can take it on a keychain. Oh, cool. There's apparently 2 books in the series as well, The Road to Neverwinter and The Druid's Call. Good to know. There are my suggestions for your D&D dad or whoever in your life. I could use a recommendation for a niece who likes fantasy, Neil Gaiman, Lord of the Rings, etc., but has been enjoying quicker reads and spicy romance lately. Okay. So here are some suggestions for some things she might enjoy. There's this series from Kimberly Lemming that are really fun. The first one is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. So these are quick, fantasy, and spicy. So you're kind of getting all of it. They're really entertaining fantasy romance novellas that are steamy and I think hilarious. So I feel like if this might be her sense of humor, that series could be really good. And they are getting traditionally published right now. So this is what the new cover looks like. There's a new book, a new full length novel in the series that's also coming out through the traditional publisher. Another option that I think could be fun is A Caribbean Heiress in Paris by Adriana Herrera. This is also kind of steamy, but it's historical. I know this isn't exactly fantasy, but I feel like if she's into like quick romance that I think is really good, I this could be a good gift. I feel like also this is just like very giftable, which could be fun. The other 2 are not romances, they're just short fantasy books, so if she's wanting to pick up things that are a little bit quicker to read, Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher is a recent novella that came out that I thought was really good. It is a kind of subversive take on Sleeping Beauty, kind of a retelling, but changing some things. And then Tread of Angels by Rebecca Roanhorse is also a novella that's this like really interesting mix of like a fantasy western mystery with like angels and demons. It's really interesting, but I liked it. It's fun, it's short, it's pretty easy to read. So there are some suggestions. The first book does look spicy from the cover. It is. Like, it's spicy, but also hilarious. It's really good. Yeah, Tread of Angels, I really liked it. It's kind of blending a bunch of different genres together. All right. Next. Horror for an 11-year-old boy. I'm running out of age appropriate titles. We've done The Small Spaces Quartet by Catherine Arden, The Clackety, and Goosebumps. He's still not ready for aged up horror just yet, so we're still stuck within middle grade. Luckily, there's quite a bit of middle grade horror, so I got you. Here are some options. I'm going to admit a couple of these I have not read myself. The 2 that I have not actually read are The Jumbies by Tracy Baptiste and Root Magic by Eden Royce, but I have heard really great things about them from Ashley of Bookish Realm. I know she really enjoyed both of these, and I've heard really amazing stuff. So those 2 I can't personally vouch for, but from what I know, they're really good, and they are middle grade horror. The Forgotten Girl by India Hill Brown is another good one. It's not super scary, but it does have a ghost story in it, and it's also tackling some like really good real world history in terms of the treatment of graveyards for Black people from the past. So it's like a mix of like history with a ghost story. I think really good. City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab is the first in a series, and I have only read the first one, but I did like it, and I think this could be a good option. Again, not super scary, but a little bit. We have a girl who can see ghosts, who has parents who do like a reality ghost hunting television show, but they don't know she can actually see ghosts, so she gets into some trouble. There's a couple of good books from Neil Gaiman that are horror for children. So the Graveyard Book is about a baby who is raised by ghosts in a graveyard, and it's actually pretty sweet, but has some horror elements to it. Or Coraline is another one, and this one also has a film. So those I think are 2 good go-tos if you're looking for middle grade horror. Doll Bones by Holly Black. This one is also creepy, and I don't think a lot of people know she did this. This is a middle grade horror novel about it's been a while since I read it, but I want to say there's like maybe possibly a haunted doll in it and secrets and the kids are trying to uncover. It was definitely creepy. It was a good one. And then, The Odds by Lindsay Puckett. This one is like a horror comedy. It's like a little bit creepy, but also just like fun and has really good disability representation. It follows a girl who has chronic pain, who is living who's like her parents she doesn't have her parents, so she's being raised by a bunch of people in an old folks home, but it's one for people with these oddities or magical abilities. And if she doesn't find hers before she turns 11, her memory will be erased and she'll be cast out. So she's trying to like save her home and find her oddity, and there's a villain. And this just came out, so this I think is also a good option. Didn't like the Graveyard Book. Okay, I mean, that's fair, that's fine. Not everybody likes it. I liked, and there is a really good graphic novel. I've read the graphic novel and it's really great. Yeah, so there you go. Middle grade horror, there's more than this, but these were the first things I came upon. Your mother-in-law who only likes to read historical books or nonfiction. Okay. So here are my suggestions. And the first one is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. This book is fantastic. It's going to show up again later on in the slideshow, but I think that this makes a really good gift. And there's a really gorgeous hardcover edition with illustrations that's really beautiful that I think is a good giftable copy. You could do the paperback as well, but I think the hardcover one is really pretty. This is lovely. Indigenous wisdom, scientific knowledge, and the teachings of plants. It's just so calming and meditative and interesting. And it's this mix of nonfiction about plants and then just sort of like thoughtful musings about life and the world and like so many things. I absolutely love this book. It's amazing. And so I think that's a really good option. I feel like you could gift this to almost anybody and like it'd be a good option. Homecoming by Kate Morton. I haven't read this one yet, but I do really like Kate Morton and she does a lot of historical fiction. This is her newest book that came out this year, so your mother-in-law may not have it. And she does a lot of like things that span multiple generations with slight mystery elements that tie together. So I think that can be good. Did you hear about Kitty Carr by Crystal Smith Paul was a good one as well. I had this and I read it from Book of the Month Club this year and I enjoyed it. It's got two timelines. One is contemporary, one is historical. And it's about a woman who is a Hollywood actress, kind of her backstory, who ended up passing as white and like why. And I thought that was a pretty good book. And then my last suggestion is historical fantasy. The Book of Gothel by Mary McMine is a retelling of the Rapunzel story, the backstory of Mother Gothel, like the kind of the witch in Rapunzel, but it's much more grounded in historical fiction of like 1500s Germany and the way women were treated at the time. So there is a magical element to it, but I feel like this could be something you could gift to somebody who likes historical fiction. Oh, interesting. Root Magic was recommended as a Harry Potter alternative for someone who loved that. Good to know. So yeah, I don't read a ton of historical fiction, but these were some that I thought, I had the thought, well, there was always, I'm glad my mom died, but that feels like not a thing you should gift to your mother or your mother-in-law. So don't do that. It's a good book though. All right. My mom, she loves Hallmark murders and mysteries, old Agatha Christie films. She reads sometimes, but it is sporadic. Okay. Let's see. Did you hear about Kitty Carr makes me think of Evelyn Hugo? Yeah, I feel like they're kind of in the same vein, similar vein. But yeah, it's good. All right. Here are some suggestions for this. One is you could gift her, if she doesn't already have it, access to the Hallmark Channel digitally. So there is like a subscription service where you can get access to all of the new Hallmark movies. I have friends who use this who are really into them and like it. That could be a cool thing. You could do a fancy edition of an Agatha Christie books, like I put here Death on the Nile. This is the, like, fancy hardcover special edition, but they have this for a few of her books, and I always just think special edition versions of books can make really fun gifts, so that could be an option. The 12 Days of Murder by Adriana Cordani is a book I just read that I thought was a lot of fun, and I could see this being a good holiday gift for someone who likes a murder mystery. It's kind of a it's got, like, kind of that, Agatha Christie vibe, sort of like, "And Then There Were None," except, contemporary and with murders that are themed on the 12 Days of Christmas song. Like, there's a literal pear tree involved in one of the murders. It's fun and campy, and it follows, a group of friends, like, a group of people who had been friends in university, who had started this club where they would put on these elaborate murder mystery dinner parties. And at one of them, somebody disappeared. They never found out what happened to him. And now, years later, they're coming together at this isolated house to do another dinner party, except that people are actually dying. So it's a good one. And then lastly, so this they have these kind of fun things that are like mystery in an envelope type thing. So if you think she might be interested in trying to solve a mystery herself, they have these kind of cool kits where it comes with clues in the envelope, and you can get it at different levels of difficulty and different stories. Again, this is all linked in the storefront if you want to check it out. But it's kind of fun. So you like it has a mystery and a story, and you try to like put the clues together yourself, which seems like a fun gift for someone who's into this kind of thing. All right. A cousin you don't know very well, but have discussed the Dragonlance Chronicles with. So for this, I put together a group of books that I think somebody who likes the Dragonlance Chronicles would probably enjoy. So they have Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I feel like Robin Hobb is a really fantastic fantasy author, and I think there would probably be some crossover in audiences. They just finally in the US came out with these beautiful trade paperback editions of them. It used to be you had to order them from the UK, so that could be a great option. They're really pretty, they're good books. I feel like that could be a good thing to pick up. The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne is another one. It's got dragon element to it. It's kind of a Viking inspired fantasy world. And again, I feel like the vibes are kind of similar. Magician Apprentice by Raymond Feist. This is I think, book one in the Rift War saga. Again, like this is all stuff that I just feel like they're fantasy books that have similar vibes to them. I feel like if you like Dragonlance Chronicles, you probably could enjoy these things. The Cloud wrote the cloud. What is? Oh, sorry, I just saw this. Kylie, hi! Congratulations on the baby. I'm so excited. My voice is putting your 7-week-old to sleep, which is the ultimate compliment. I'm so glad to hear that. That's great. Thank you. I hope you're doing good. Um, the Cloud Roads by Martha Wells is pretty interesting in terms of creating different people groups and the world building. I feel like that could be a good option. Or The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. It's a little bit, darker and subverting typical fantasy tropes. But again, these would be some of my suggestions. If somebody's into Dragonlance Chronicles, I feel like you could gift them any of these and you'd have a pretty good shot at them liking the book. So, yeah. Yes, the blade itself is great. Absolutely. All right. My aunt, she loves to read, and I always get her a book for Christmas, and I'm struggling this year. She enjoys coming of age boyhood stories, stories about senior ladies, queer stuff, athletics, historical fiction set in Asia, but it can't be depressing. Something upbeat, but like real still, hence the struggle. Okay, so I have some suggestions for this. Some of them are like, might be a little bit of a stretch for her, but like, go with me on it. Okay. So the book that first immediately came to mind was Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn when you said that she likes books about older women, because this is really entertaining. It's I wouldn't even call it a thriller. I guess it's kind of a thriller. It's kind of like a campy thriller, sort of, but it's like um, it's like Ocean's 11 with senior women. So it's like, sort of. It's like all these women who had been assassins and they're getting ready to retire, and then they find out that the organization that they had been assassins for is now trying to assassinate them, and so they're trying to fight back and save their lives and figure out what's going on. It's really fun. It's very funny. There's a lot of references to like menopause and women getting older, and I really enjoyed this, and I feel like this could be a good option. Another kind of similar one, although this is a little bit on the darker side, is The Change by Kirsten Miller. And this also has a speculative element to it as well. So like this is like a maybe, but I wanted to still throw it out there because I do think it's good. It follows women who are like menopausal age who are trying to figure out what happened to a girl who was found had been missing and was found dead, and like uncover what's going on. Meanwhile, they're experiencing like weird physical changes. So there is a speculative element to this one, but maybe that's like a somebody's gonna like this book. So I don't know if that's the perfect suggestion, but it's one. All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson is a really, really great memoir. George M. Johnson is a queer Black writer, and they wrote this YA memoir that I think really walks the line of being more on the upbeat side, maybe partly, or more on the hopeful side, even though occasionally it deals with some difficult things, because it is written for teenagers, and it's beautiful. It's like really well written. Highly recommend it. So if the coming of age type thing, except this is a memoir, I think that could be a really good suggestion. The Water Outlaws by S.L. Huang. This is historical fantasy, but it is inspired by a Chinese epic. And so I feel like maybe even though it's not totally realistic, there's sort of a magical element to it slightly. I feel like this maybe could work. It does follow a lot of female characters. There are queer characters in this book. An older woman character who's one of the primary people, and it's just like fun action adventure. So that could be a suggestion. The Body in the Back Garden by Mark Waddell. I don't know if she likes mysteries, but if she does, this is like a cozy mystery set in Canada with a gay protagonist. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. So maybe that could be a thing she enjoyed. And then finally, for kind of queer coming of age stories, Right Where I Left You by Julian Winters could be a good one. This is a YA book that is it does have a romantic plot line to kind of like a friends to lovers romantic subplot, but a lot of it is like this queer coming of age story, and it's really lovely. So maybe one of those could be a good option for your aunt. uh I don't know, I'd have to look it up, but is it an epic or it's like a, let me see, it's a good question. The water, um okay, it says inspired by a classic of martial arts literature. So I'm not sure specifically, but it might be on her website. You could look into that. A gift suggestion for the die-hard fanfic reader. Okay, absolutely. Okay, so for this one, you could go like it really depends on your budget. I have like what you could do if you can afford more money or want to spend more money on this person, but I also have some like less expensive options. Okay, so y'all may not know this, but on Etsy, there are people who sell bound copies of popular fanfics. Personally, I'm not like a big fanfic reader, but this is the thing. So all the young dudes and Manacled were like two of the ones that I found, but you can Google fanfic books, like bound fanfic on Etsy. And there are also companies that will do whatever one you want. So you can have it as like a physical book. They're not cheap, like especially these ones. There are some that are like lesser quality that are a little bit a little cheaper, but these are a pricey gift. But it would probably be very exciting if you have somebody who's into one of these fanfics and like being able to have like a physical, beautiful copy of it. That could be a cool gift. So it's a suggestion, throwing it out there. You can look this up on Etsy. Also, for this, maybe a Kindle Paperwhite or another Kindle where they can download their fanfic and read it comfortably on a new Kindle. That could be another gift idea, but it is again a little pricey. On the cheaper end of this is maybe something to make their reading space kind of fun and cozy. So there's like these little operated fairy lights. I also found these really cute cozy blankets that are glow in the dark. So this one they have different colors and like types, but this one has is pink with unicorns and the unicorns glow in the dark. So like a soft cozy blanket that glows. I don't know. I think it's kind of fun. So something like that I feel like could also be a good option. I don't know if you were looking for a book recommendation. That wasn't the direction I went, but hopefully that helps. Okay, we're getting near the end. I feel like my voice may not last much longer, but for someone who reads philosophy and loves to read about journey and finding new perspectives on life. Okay, okay. Here are my suggestions. Two are repeats. Hood Feminism, Notes from the Women That a Movement Forgot by Mickey Kendall. I mentioned earlier in like a funnier way, but I actually think that this is genuinely really fantastic and does offer a new perspective on how we think about feminism, how it impacts women of different socioeconomic classes, women of different races. It's such a great book. I feel like everybody should read this. This is a good option. And again, Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer is another one that is very philosophical. It's very thought provoking and thoughtful. And I feel like somebody like this would be very into that. I feel like that could be a good option. And then for a fiction, The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro was the one that came to mind because it's a really quiet novel. It won the Booker Prize too. So it's like a prize winning book, but it's a quiet novel about a butler who is nearing retirement age, reflecting on back on his life and the choices he's made and how he feels about them. And I feel like that also could be a really good option for somebody like that. All right. I want to get my mom a new romance. She likes high communication and low angst, historical and contemporary romances, including stuff by Courtney Milan, Emily Henry, and Beverly Jenkins. Okay, I did not include any of those three since she already knows them. I figure this could be a great option or a great opportunity to get your mom into a new author. So here we go. Curves for Days by Laura Mower is pretty low angst and very high on communication. I think this is so good. One of the best in terms of communication between the partners as they're working through their own issues that I've seen. I think it's fantastic. Each character has their own growth arc that they're going on. I think this is a really good one for contemporary. Um, Role Playing by Kathy Yardley is another one that's really great. They're older protagonists, really good communication. They really talk through issues. Also, this is one of very few books that does not have a third act breakup, which I try to tag. I think there's only like three books on the shelf, but I do have a Goodreads shelf of like books that don't, because some people specifically are looking for that romance that is lower angst and doesn't have a third act breakup. This is a great example of it. And the conflict between them is really external. It's not internal to their relationship. Their communication with each other is really great. So highly recommend this one. I loved it. Spoiler alert by Olivia Dade, and really anything by her. I feel like this whole series is fantastic. And again, they're better with communication. I mean, there's some angst and like sometimes there's miscommunication, but I feel like I feel like that her stuff in general though has a pretty light touch. They're funny, they're fun. And I just think she's a really good author. So those are my contemporary suggestions for you. Yes, read Role Playing twice already since it came out. It's so good. It is so good. It's one of my favorite books I read this year. I loved it. And then I have a couple of historical recommendations of authors. Susanna Craig is one of my favorites, who I think is underrated. A lot of people aren't familiar with her stuff. Who's That Earl is the first in the Love and Let Spy romance series, which are really great, really fun. They all have a mystery spy element to them, and they all feature strong, independent, interesting heroines and heroes who are really into them and are not like super alpha, who have good communication with each other. I just think her books are good options for this in general, and they're pretty low angst. Most of the conflict is external to the couple for the most part. So I just think as a whole, she's a good option. And then I also love Olivia Waite. She does really good stuff, and I love a lot of her sapphic romances. So this one is The Care and Feeding of Waspish Widows, which is two older women. It's a very, very slow burn friends to lovers romance between a widow and a woman who never married. And it's delightful, and they have good communication as well. Is Who's That Earl a pun? Yes, it is a pun. Um, I think all of the series titles are puns, if I'm not mistaken. So there you go. Some good high communication, low angst, fun romance authors to check out. Make Me Think of the Song for Jesse. Is that the name of the sitcom? What? I don't know. I figure it's like Who's That Girl is the pun. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay. Okay, I think this is the last like main one, but a cheaper gift for a work party secret Santa. I feel like for this, you want to go with something funny. I feel like that's a good way to go. So here are some of my suggestions. Something or funny or like something most people can enjoy. This I thought was really cute. It's a little like desk organizer. Get it? It's a dumpster fire. It's got it's a dumpster. You can put pens and stuff in it, and then it's got like fire shaped note cards. I think it's hilarious. I feel like that could be a really good secret uh, uh like Secret Santa type thing for a workplace. Another thing that feels good for workplace is this a pun a day desk calendar. It's funny. It's kind of silly. I feel like that's an easy thing you could give to most people. You could also do shower steamers. These I really like because even if somebody doesn't have a bathtub, they can still use a shower steamer. That's one of the downsides to doing like a bath bomb. But this is cool. They have like different, aromatic lavender or whatever things. So I think these could be a really good Secret Santa gift. And then one that I also think is just kind of funny is they have these little insulated clutch purses that fit a wine bottle. So it's like a wine purse. I don't know. I just feel like either something that's fairly universal or something kind of funny for an office Secret Santa is a good option. So these were some of the things I came up with. Who's that girl? I'm that girl. It's Jess from New Girl. Oh, okay. I don't know. Okay. I'm glad y'all are figuring this out in the comments. So one other thing, and this is maybe a question to throw up for discussion. I have a couple of thoughts, but if people want to help out with this. So this person said, I don't need any recommendations because I'm really good at asking people what they want, but I think my family needs help. They keep buying me everything except the books on my wish list. Sometimes it's books they think I need to read or whatever. Sometimes it's not even books. If they ask me what I want this year, I need advice on how to get them to stop buying me Christian self help books and realize I'm never going to want them or read them. Okay, so this is a difficult situation, and I would welcome input from people in the comments. What would you suggest to somebody who's in this situation where their family is always buying them things that they don't actually want, not listening to their wishes? Um, I guess like the initial thoughts I had are, you can always be polite and then just like sell the books later and get yourself what you really want. Um, but I also think leading up to it, dropping in some kind of a thing of like, yeah, like sometimes I get like these self-help books and I just never read them. They're really not my thing. I don't know, like if that's something you can drop into a conversation ahead of time. Having a wish list is helpful, but some people don't want to buy off of a wish list. Um, and you can try dropping hints, but it can be tough, especially if people just don't really care. Because some people don't care. Some people are like, I'm going to get you what I want to get you. I don't know. People in the comments, what would you recommend? What would you tell this person? Any thoughts? Um, yeah, that's rough. Christian self-help books. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry about that. I came up with a list of books from my wish list that I feel comfortable giving to people and say I don't want anything but what's on this list. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that could be a good option. Um, or, like, I guess the other question too is like, is it that you still do want gifts, or if you would rather, um, yeah, yeah. This is something, would they be willing to get you a gift card? Maybe. I mean, you could say, "Hey, I'm trying to do this like minimalist thing where I'm like careful about what I bring in." Like, I don't know. It's tricky. It is tricky. I've also seen people say, "Oh, I don't want any gifts. Instead, like donate to this charity or something." But that may not be what you want because you may still want the Christmas gifts. I feel like you can try to drop hints into conversations, but depending on your family dynamics, it can be hard. That's rough. Yeah, so I don't know if we have any clear answers for this, but hopefully maybe this will, give people some suggestions, some ideas. In your family, you pass around lists. Yeah, I mean that's nice. Like my family never really did. Now I do have a list for my kids so the grandparents can buy stuff off a wish list for them, but yeah, in our family it wasn't really wish lists weren't really a thing. I feel like we need to know more to give good suggestions. Yeah. Yeah, it's really tricky, like, who it is. I mean, I guess one other thing is you could suggest that instead of all buying gifts for everybody, that you do, like, kind of a draw names thing, and then everybody pass around wish lists, like, you could suggest it as something that could be more of a universal, different way of approaching things in your family. That might go over better. Like, kinda have, like, guidelines and pick off of lists. It's a thought, but it just really depends a lot on the family dynamics for sure. So, happy shopping, everyone. Again, if you wanna use the link down below to go find any of the stuff I mentioned here other than, like, the Etsy stuff, I do appreciate anybody who wants to use those links. They're get little commissions, especially with Black Friday coming up. And I will say there's a few things I put on there that are going to be Black Friday deals on Amazon if you're shopping there, but also there's a lot of great like independent people and Etsy shops. One other suggestion is if you're looking to save a little bit and buy books, is I think Pango Books is great for good quality used books if that's something you're comfortable doing. So that could be a place to look as well. I would give my parents a book wish list every year, but my mom would never buy me anything on it, nor would she gift cards as they weren't personal. I finally convinced her when I was 26. Yeah, see, like, and I think this is hard as it depends a lot on like the generation your parents grew up in and like what kind of their sense of gift giving norms are, which also can vary by region. And yeah, yeah, it can be very tricky. So I I do understand. Sometimes you maybe just need to have an honest conversation. One thing that I thought was funny when I was looking is that there is a entire wiki article, like a wiki how article on how to deal with getting gifts you don't like. So you can also look there for some suggestions and see if maybe that helps. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful for people. I feel like we covered a lot of different categories and ground, and it was kind of fun trying to find answers to this. And I hope you guys are able to find gifts for all of the people in your life as we're heading into the holiday season. So thank you for hanging out with me. And if you're celebrating Thanksgiving, I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. And I will see you all next time. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.